Hello C3 kids and hello C3 Tots. Isn't it amazing that we can look at the Bible again together? Isn't that wonderful? Now, before we look at the passage for this week, I want you to remember all the way back to last week. Now, do you remember what Jesus was talking about? He was saying that he was Lord of the Sabbath. And there were Pharisees there who didn't like what he was saying. And this is what happened at the end. They were furious and began to discuss with one another what they might do to Jesus. They were furious. They didn't like what Jesus was saying, and they were plotting what they might do to him. Now, in our passage, Jesus is about to do something very special, very important. So make sure you don't miss it. Let's look together at verse 12. One of those days, Jesus went out to a mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. Isn't that amazing? Jesus, just after the Pharisees were furious with him, goes up a mountain to pray to God. He spends all night praying to God. That's a long time. Now imagine if, when your parents sent you to bed, you didn't go to sleep, but you stayed up all night until when you would normally wake up in the morning. Now that's a long time, isn't it? And Jesus prayed all that time. He prayed all night. Wow, that's impressive. Now, does that mean we should pray all night, every night? No, I don't think so. Remember, I said Jesus is doing something very special and important. So he spent a long time praying before he did it. Now, let's look carefully at what this is. When morning came, he called his disciples to him and chose 12 of them, whom he also designated apostles. Now, Jesus chooses 12 apostles. He chooses 12 of his disciples to be called apostles. Now, 12 is a very important number in the Bible. In the Old Testament, there were 12 tribes of Israel, 12 tribes of God's people, with 12 leaders. God chose 12 people in the Old Testament, and now Jesus chooses 12 people in the New Testament. Jesus chooses a new 12 new leaders. And they're called apostles. Apostles means to be sent. Jesus chose 12 people to be sent to teach others about him. They got to spend all this time with Jesus so that they could share with others who he was. Isn't that amazing? Now, who were they? Well, the Bible tells us. Simon, whom he named Peter, his brother Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Simon, who was called the Zealot, Judas, son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became a traitor. These 12 were the people God chose to be his new leaders. And we get to find out who they were. Now, in our craft later, we're going to make a book with them all in. But let's look who they were now. Simon, who became Peter, was a fisherman. and he had a brother called Andrew. And there was James and John, both brothers as well, and John even wrote a book of the Bible. There was Philip and Bartholomew. There was Matthew, who was a tax collector and even wrote a book of the Bible as well. And Thomas. There was James, son of Alphaeus, and Simon the Zealot. And there was Judas, son of James, and Judas Iscariot, the traitor. These were really important people that Jesus chose. Simon later said who Jesus was. He said Jesus was the Son of God. And Jesus told him that because of what he said, the church would be built on it. So Simon was named Peter, which means rock. All of these people went and shared the good news of Jesus. But did you notice the last person, Judas Iscariot, who became the traitor? He was the one who betrayed Jesus, and even he was part of God's plan. Jesus knew that he would do it, and he still chose him. Now, what happens after? Well, he went down with them and stood on a level place. A large crowd of his disciples was there, and a great number of people from all over Judea, from Jerusalem and from the coast of Tyre and Sidon, who had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. Those troubled by evil spirits were cured, and the people all tried to touch him, because power was coming from him and healing them all. Jesus, with his 12 new leaders, the start of his new people, comes down the mountain to a large crowd. Lots of people from all over have come to hear Jesus and to be healed. That's what Jesus does. He heals them as well. Now imagine that, being in the crowd and seeing people just touch Jesus and be healed. Isn't that amazing? Now, does that mean we should expect to be healed every time we're sick or ill? I don't think so. Remember, Jesus is doing something really special in choosing his 12 new leaders for his new people. And he's showing us something about his power and about what he will do. At the start of God's new people, whom Jesus chooses, he tells us something about what will happen to God's people at the end when Jesus returns. He will heal all of them. All of God's people will be healed. There'll be no more suffering, no more pain, no more sickness or illness. Jesus will heal all of them. And do you know what? We get to be part of this people too. This new people which God chooses, which Jesus begins by choosing his 12 leaders. We get to be part of this new people when we hear what Jesus' 12 leaders taught us, what the apostles wrote for us in the Bible about who he is. When we hear that and we trust Jesus, we get to be part of his new people. Isn't that amazing? That is what is really special that is happening. Now, parents, you might have to help as well, but kids, we're going to make a craft together. Now, you saw it earlier, my little booklet. Now, this is going to be our address book. Now, your parents may have had an address book many, many years ago to remember people's names and their phone numbers, to remember who they were. And we're going to do the same with our booklet. You'll need to cut out all the apostles and stick them in the booklet in the right place and colour them in as well. I haven't done that, but you can colour them in and stick them in your booklet, and then you can read through the passage to make sure you put them in the right order, and there'll be some instructions to follow as well. So you'll need to stick fishing rods next to the ones that were fishermen, and smiley faces next to the ones that were brothers, and Simon, who had his name changed to Peter, you'll need to stick his new name in as well. This can be really helpful to remember that Jesus chose his 12 leaders to be the start of his new people that we get to be part of. Isn't that amazing? Have fun